is the Polyend Dreadbox Medusa. I've been talking about it quite a bit. It's really an amazing, interesting, and complex piece in a really, really effective and simple layout. I'm amazed by it. Of course, I am amazed by a lot of things, but there are really solid reasons to be amazed by this. First of all, it's a great monosynth. If you want to play it as a monosynth, but you can also play it as, you have the monosynth. And as a monosynth, it's a 6 oscillator monosynth. So if you want a really, really big sound, you've got 6 oscillators to work with, and you can detune all of them. Of course, those 6 oscillators are broken into 2 different types, analog and digital. So, if we want to hear them, those are our analog oscillators, which you can adjust wave shape for each of them and make up interesting polyphonic chord structures if you want to, which is what I'm doing right now. It's really easy and immediate to operate, as I just showed you. We also have the digital oscillators, which have wavetable. Let me find a good wavetable choice. There's 20 different types of wavetables you can choose from. All of them have really interesting harmonic content, and of course modulating them results in really cool sound. That's pretty basic. The wavetable knob allows you to move through the wavetable to generate different outcomes like that, and it becomes basically the same sort of thing like your filter cutoff, where if you turn it, you'll get something cool. As I was just playing, I played it in monophonic. There's also 2 types of polyphonic. There's a 3-note polyphonic with 2 oscillators per note, 1 analog, 1 digital. And then there is a 6-note polyphonic where each oscillator gets its own note. So the 3 is really great for stacking oscillators. Which is really, really fun. You can see me over here playing the grid like a keyboard, which is one of the functions of the grid. I'll get to the grid in a second. We should probably talk about the filter. It's a single filter, but there's 3 different filter types. There is a 24 decibel per octave filter type. With resonance. And obviously there's a tracking knob, so if you want to have the filter more closed on low notes and more open on high notes, like many acoustic instruments are, you can do that. There's also a 12 decibel per octave filter. A little more raw, like you would expect from a 12 decibel per octave. And then there's a high pass filter. Which is a lot of fun. And so you have those 3 different filter types to choose from, which gives you a lot of variety. And of course, you're affecting the analog and digital outcomes. So that's really cool. Of course, like in the analog realm, you have the ability to adjust the pulse width. You have a noise source, which has 3 different types of noise. If you go all the way to the left, it's brown noise. Brown. That's what they say. All the way to the right, it's violet. So violet or brown. And in the middle, it's apparently gray noise, which is new to me. I haven't heard the term, but I'm cool with noise colors. Let's see, what else do we have going on? Okay, have to talk about the envelopes. The envelopes, you've basically got 5 of them, which is a great amount of envelopes to have. Now 2 of them are dedicated. You have a filter envelope going specifically to the filter and an amp envelope going specifically to the amp. But then you have 3 envelopes that you can direct anywhere you want. You have a target knob that allows you to choose. When you turn the target knob, you get all these options to choose where you'd like the envelope to go. And these are ADSR envelopes with a delay. So they're DADSR, which gives you a huge amount of possibilities. And even more awesome, you have a loop function. So what happens with an envelope that you loop? It's also an LFO, but it's more complex than an LFO. So you can kind of shape your own LFOs using these envelopes as LFOs. And of course you have these dedicated ones going to your filter and amp, so you're not sacrificing anything. You can use them any way you want. Also, there's the LFO section. You've got 5 LFOs to send anywhere that you want that can be synced to the sequencer, so that's awesome. With the LFOs, it has a variable wave shape, so you can choose the LFO wave that you want, and it has all kinds of different shapes, and then the shapes between those shapes, which is a lot of fun. And of course, you can set the target, set the sync. So the LFO is really, really fun and cool as well. Like we could, let's just direct one to the pulse width. Well, let's go to the filter just for fun. It'd be really more obvious. And we'll turn up the amount. And it just makes everything sound like noise. Oh, sorry, let me turn that. And that was me working through the different wave shapes as the LFO controlled the filter cutoff. So, and it's really that immediate. It's really, for its level of complexity, it's super immediate. Now, everyone's probably like, dude, so what about the sequencer? The sequencer really couldn't be more straightforward. Here, let me set up a couple of things. We're going to set the tempo to 60. You kind of want to set up the sequencer before you start so that you know what to expect. And I'm going to choose a sequence length of, right now the sequence length is set to 64, but we can make it 16, which I'm going to do. And sequence mode, you can choose forward, backward, ping pong, which is back and forth, or random. So you have those options. I'm going to go with forward because I'm just that vanilla. Okay, and I'll just punch something in here. What would be really awesome is if we had some sound happening. Why have we lost sound? Apparently someone turned the filter cutoff down. Who was it? Okay, let's go back to recording our Magnum sequence. Okay. Also, it's polyphonic, so you can have actual multiple notes. I'm going to take that mistake out of there, but let's just do that one more time. Recording with the sequencer is that easy. You press record, play in what you want to have play, and you're basically done. And you can go back and change it if you want it to ping pong, move back and forth, to be random. You can choose up to 64 steps, which is super, super fantastic. Also, there is the grid section, which is activated over here. When you press grid, you'll see that our entire sequence is visible. Now what we can do is we can go in and press record, select a step, and then we basically have a preset per step of your sequence. You can create an entirely different setup and sound for each individual step of the sequence, and then when you play through them, your sequence could be so simple as just having different filter settings or having an entirely different sound per step. It's an incredibly complex functionality that's really simple. You just select your step and then make changes. We'll just like turn all the digital up, so all the analog is down. Oh, actually we'll change the wavetable a little bit. We can go on to the next step and change all the waveforms, have all the things up. Go to the digital section, change it to individual waveforms at different octaves. And basically you can continually just go through your steps and have a different setting for every step, which makes it really, really powerful. And if you start thinking about the various applications that you can do with this, let's be clear that when you're playing in polyphonic mode, there's 6 notes. Each of those 6 notes has its own VCA. So it's not paraphonic, and you can control those VCAs with various settings, allowing you to make choices about which oscillators are playing in which step with really complex results. And you can also use it like an LFO to control the amplitude of a single oscillator to make like a hi-hat sound that's going throughout the whole entirety of the thing. So you have these really basic concepts that, due to their functionality, can become really complex outcomes and really, really simple outcomes. I want to talk about using this as a keyboard, as you've been watching me do. There are settings in here that allow you to make choices about this keyboard. You probably see the designs that exist on here, and I'm going to talk about those. What you need to do is go into your button knob here, and you can select the scale, and there's a huge amount of scales going anything from major to minor up to really crazy, Phrygian, Locrian. There's a super Locrian. Any music theory nerds? Super Locrian? Come on, it's crazy. And what that really defines is what notes are going from left to right. Here's a Dorian scale. So you choose basically what notes you're going to have going left to right. Then you choose your layout, which tells you what arrangement you have between the notes that are going vertically. So right now we have it set on 1, and that gives you 1 step in a relationship between notes going vertical. And of course you can go to 2 and 3. 3 is a 4th, by the way. 4 is a 5th. And then going all the way up to octaves, where you have an octave going in this direction and an octave going in this direction. Or not an octave going left to right, but you have the scale going left to right and an octave relationship between each line. So that is a very barely scratching the surface exploration of the functionality you have going on with the Medusa. You have to take into account, like you heard with the filters and the analog oscillators, have that Dreadbox sort of rich analog sound. You've got the Polyend functionality with the sequencing and etc. It's really a powerful piece that I would encourage you to explore.